boy, 2019's been a bit of a bummer for modern rail fans in the UK, hasn't it? The phasing out of HSTs on the Great Western and East Coast main lines, the prototype HST being taken from service all too soon, the long-awaited announcement of the withdrawal of Pacers. Okay, maybe that wasn't too much of a bad thing in all fairness. And then on December the 7th, the last Virgin train service ran. And I'm not going to lie, despite not being a fan of anything that doesn't run on Steam, or a personal fan of Virgin for many unconnected moral reasons, I'm a little sad to see them lose their rail franchise. Simply because they may not have always been the best in the world, but they have at least tried to be in ways that their competitors could only follow. When Virgin took over the West Coast Main Line and ran their first train on March the 9th, 1997, it was all part of the fragmented privatised network, littered with outdated rolling stock, running on track and infrastructure owned by a profit-based company whose financial structure prevented them from wishing to spend any money on it. As such, Virgin trains were a laughingstock, more so than they are now. According to a BBC Panorama special broadcast in November 1999, out of all the rail franchises in the UK at that time, Virgin trains were ranked 23rd and 25th out of 25 for punctuality and performance. Now though, according to a recent Which magazine survey, Virgin came 11th out of 30 franchises for commuters, beating 3 out of 4 efforts from succeeding franchise bidder First Group, and beating all 4 of those efforts for leisure travel by coming 5th out of 30. So what's Virgin done to deserve a good send-off? Since the first Pendolino train was shown off on July the 9th, 2001, Virgin have at least tried to make improvements. When the Pendolinos and Voyagers entered service a few years later, Virgin reported running 14 to 15 million rail journeys in a year. By 2019, this figure had increased to 40 million. That's more than 60% more than what they started with. And while the Pendolinos may not have necessarily reached their boasted 140 mph top speed due to infrastructure limitations, and although they faced some early reliability issues, they have at least managed to endure and age a lot better than the first generation diesels that needed rescuing so much by their coal-burning predecessors. They're not the most comfortable or spacious things in the world, but they had a look that sets them apart from anything that's come before or since. You could look at a Javelin or an Azuma and see the similarities, but when you look at a Pendolino by comparison, you can immediately identify it as one.
Virgin wants to be associated with being modern, fast, different. I think the Pendolino captures that beautifully. It does look a sleek Concorde on the railway. The service on the train is different. It's younger people, it's a faster service. The style is different, and let's enjoy the difference.
They could also reduce the journey time between Euston and Glasgow Central to 4 hours and 10 minutes, about half an hour more than it takes to get through the full unedited cut of Lawrence of Arabia. Okay, former East Coast rivals GNER used to do Edinburgh to London in 3 hours 59 minutes, but then the East Coast main line is flatter and shorter, so of course it's going to be quicker. The thing is though, most of Virgin's reduction in journey times have been largely thanks to other companies' efforts. The scheme to upgrade the West Coast main line to accommodate the increase in speed began way back in 1999 with 125 mph running proposed by 2002 and 140 mph running proposed by 2005. The latter never happened, but the point is, due to the interesting way that Britain runs its railways, neither the track nor the rolling stock were actually things that Virgin can take credit for. The West Coast main line was upgraded by Network Rail. The famous Pendolinos were built by Alstom, and from 2008, new rolling stock was leased from Angel Trains. And let's not forget the Italians succeeded where the British failed by making a mainstream tilting train that actually works. Again, not one of Virgin's achievements. But on the other hand, Virgin had the incentive to use newer, high-speed rolling stock ahead of their competitors in the 21st century. The 395 Javelin trains only entered service in 2009. The Azumas only came in more recently than that. So who's to say these didn't happen as a result of Virgin's influence with the Pendolinos? But then you could argue that Virgin was influenced by the Italians or the British in that regard. So which came first, the chicken, the egg, or the amoeba? Or Richard Trevithick for that matter? Any railway franchise is prone to criticism due to putting up with ongoing modern problems that make us yearn for the golden age of steam. As recently as 2009, steam traction has proven to work perfectly fine in the snow when Tornado rescued stranded passengers while Southeastern's electric trains gave up the ghost. But modern technology succumbing to bad weather isn't necessarily Virgin's fault. Technology has had to change because expectations and demands have changed, dramatically. With many of Virgin's newer passengers demanding free Wi-Fi, mains power, USB connectivity, faster journey times and more safety with fewer accidents alongside basic necessities like, a seat, it's inevitable that the loco-hauled Mark IIs and Mark IIIs had to go at some point. I mean, in 1997 the aircon didn't exist most of the time as opposed to just some of the time. Luxury and prestige may no longer exist in UK train travel, but compared to the late 90s, passengers on the main trunk routes are often spoiled. That being said, Virgin certainly didn't make the ticket prices any cheaper. But then no rail company makes the prices any cheaper. Like, ever. It's horses for courses how you wish to think of Virgin, or indeed any train operating company. But looking at Virgin's performance objectively, their 2019 conclusion is a far cry from their 1997 introduction. Are they the best? No. But are they better than they used to be? In many ways, yes. Popular culture thought British Rail was a joke, and many of us still do. But with Virgin trains passing into history's book while Avanti slaps their uninspiring non-LMS colours onto West Coast rolling stock, they've been around for long enough and have done enough for today's rail industry so that enough people can get all teary-eyed and nostalgic over their passing in the same way people did about the HSTs and all the steam engines before them. Nobody may have left a Virgin train feeling awesome, but considering people got angry over First Group winning the West Coast franchise in 2012 and again more recently, Virgin must have done something right in their time. Let's just see how the next generation of West Coast rail travel gets on. I'm Chris, and I'm here to gauge the issue.